everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Blessing Ebietwoma, and this is the face behind the YouTube tutorials you have been seeing. If you are a subscriber to this channel, thank you for subscribing. If you are yet to subscribe, please hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell so you'll be the first to get notified when I upload my next video. In today's tutorial, we'll be making a Bustier Summer Dress, and it's going to be a 360-degree flay. We're making use of this fabric for the purpose of this tutorial. We're making use of this fabric. This is a chiffon fabric, and I have 5 yards of fabric here. So if you are interested in this tutorial, keep watching. To cut this dress, we'll be drafting the bustier pattern first, and I've gone ahead to draw out my starting line. That's where my tape will be starting from, and then my waist line. Now I am marking points. I'm marking points around my chest line. This is the same as when you want to draw your armhole. You come down from your shoulder slope, divide your bust circumference by 6 plus 1.5. That's the line I am marking. Then I marked my under bust line. So I'm going to draw straight line across from my under bust, and then next I'm going to draw straight line across to my chest line. Then the next thing I'll do is to mark my neck width, and then I'm marking my shoulder measurement. So to mark your shoulder measurement, just divide your shoulder into 2. The shoulder I'm working with is 15 inches, so 15 divided by 2 will give me 7.5. Then I came down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. Connect it to your neck width like so. And then the next thing that I'm doing now, I'm marking my shoulder measurement again, the 7.5. Then I'm going to connect a straight line across to meet the shoulder slope. Now, to get the armhole curve, I will mark my bust circumference. Divide your bust into 4 and mark it down. Then after that, I'm going to divide what I have into 2. What I have on that line, my armhole depth, into 2, and I will come in by ½ inch. So from there now, I'm going to connect these 3 points together like so. Now that we have our armhole curve, I'll be coming down to my bust points. Your bust point is from your shoulder to your nipple point. I'm coming down, mine is 10 inches. I'm making points around it. Then I'm going to also draw a straight line across. Then after that, I'm going to label it chest line, bust point, under bust, and waist. The next thing I'm doing now, I'm marking my bust palm, also known as nipple to nipple measurement. The bust palm I'm working with is 3.5 inches. 7 inches divided by 2 is 3.5. So I'm just going to draw a straight line across from the bust point to the waist. Then I'm coming out by ½ inch on both sides. This is to get my dart. Then I'll connect it to the bust point. So now we have a basic block. So what I'm going to do now, I'm dividing my shoulder into 2. What I have there on my shoulder into 2. After the neck hole, then I will connect it to the bust points. So after connecting it to the bust points, now we have to tighten the under bust. Depending on your size and the size of your bust. For me, I am working with 1.5 to tighten the under bust. I divided the 1.5 into 2, and I'm marking each of them what I got from the dart leg. Then I will connect it to my bust point. So if you are more busty than I am, you can use 2 inches for your under bust tightening. 2 inches or 2.5 inches depending on your size of the bust. Then I'm using my marker to make the lines more visible. just use your curve rule to connect the point to your bust point. So for this, the front half length is different from the back half length. The front half length for me is 16.5 inches, and my back half length is 15 inches. That is 1.5 inches extra. So what I'm doing now, I'm marking side darts. This side dart now, I came down by 1.5 from the bust point line, and I connected it all the way to the bust point. So now you will determine how low or how high you want your bustier to be, and this will depend on how much cleavage you are willing to show. For me, I don't want mine to be too revealing, so I came up by 1 inch. I want the neckline to at least stop at 7 inches. So as you can see, I'm just marking 7 inches all the way around. If you measure it from the chest line upward, you will see that I came up by 1 inch. So this depends on, you can leave that chest line, you can decide to come up. It all depends on how much cleavage you are willing to show. So now we are going to tighten the neckline. I'm going to label it chest line, then I will go ahead to tighten the neckline. To tighten the neckline, I'm using 1.5 inches, which is also known as 1.5 inches. I used 1/2 inch to the side going to the middle, and then 1 inch to the side going to the armhole, and I'm just connecting it like so. Just place your curve rule like the way I am placing mine. If you don't have a curve rule, you can also use your freehand, but it's better you use curve rule when you are making your bustier pattern. So now I just marked my bust measurement, and I'm going to replace that dart. I have about 1/2 inch there. I'm going to replace it back, and I'm going to add my sewing allowance. I added 1.5 inch sewing allowance. I'm going to mark my under bust circumference again, but before marking the allowance, I'm going to connect that dart downwards just like so. So I'm just going to draw a straight line from the under bust to the waist on both sides. So now I'm going to mark my under bust circumference, then I will mark the allowance that I have there, which is the dart allowance. I'm going to replace it 2 inch. Then I'm going to add my 1.5 inch sewing allowance. Please, when you are sewing, just make sure that the allowance you are using are all in uniform. Whatever allowance you use, just keep using it. So for the waist too, the same thing. I'm going to divide my waist by 4, mark what I have, then replace the darts, and then add my sewing allowance. Then after that, I'm going to connect it all the way. I'm connecting it from the first chest line, not the one we extended it from. That's where the armhole starts from. So now what I am doing, this one now depends on what you want. You can decide to mark a sweet out neckline. You can decide to come down more than how I am placing my curve rule. You can decide to go up beyond what you want, but I'm just showing you this way so you are going to know that you can alter the neckline. For me, I wanted a straight neckline, so I'm not going to cut it. I'm not going to cut out that shape that I just showed now, but now we already have the bustier pattern is ready. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to cut all the way from the armhole, from the shoulder to the bust point. Then I'm going to cut away that 1.5 inch dart. I'm going to cut through to the bust point. Then I will close it. Just watch what I'm doing. For this side dart, your front and your back half length are not the same. You can either get somebody to measure you, or you can just, maybe check your front half length and then minus maybe 1.5. But everybody's half length, front half length and back half length, they are not the same, because our bust size differs and you don't have bust behind your back, so your front and your back, they are not the same. So for this style, I measured my back half length and I measured my front half length. Front half length is 16 and a half, back half length is 15. So that 15, now we have 1.5 extra, so that is what I used to cut out the side dart. I hope you understand. So I'm just cutting out the pattern, the bustier pattern. So the next thing we'll be doing now, if you cut your bustier pattern in fold, you are going to have the same thing, because you are going to have extra paper falling off in the middle, because we taped the up one, we did not tape the one under. So you just use your pin to pin it down. And then look at what I am doing closely. I'm putting the cup sides on top of each other. But if you look at the sides, they are not on each other, they are lying side by side. So when you want to, because now what we are doing is that we are trying to arrange it this way to cut the back pattern. This way we've already eliminated, look at, can you see, it's not lying on each other. The only part that is lying on each other is the bustier part, that is, that curved part is lying on each other, but the sides are they are sitting side by side. So now I'm just tracing the front pattern on the back on a plain pattern paper, so I can cut out the back. As I'm doing it this way now, this is like the easiest way to draft your back pattern. You don't have to cut out that again. Why? Because you've already cut out the darts in the front pattern. I'm just using my marker to make it more visible. Like I was saying, if you place it this way, you don't have to mark out that. You already have your pattern, your back pattern. So I just connected it like so. If you want your back neckline to be like very, very low, you can still come down more than how I did, but I just wanted mine to be exactly as how the front is, so I didn't bother to bring it downwards. That is, I didn't bother to bring the neckline downwards. So now our front and back pattern is ready. If you notice, I did not add zipper allowance, because we do not need a zipper. We are not having a zipper in the up part of the back. So what I'm doing now, I marked 2 inches on the back, the mid part of the back. I'll be cutting out that 2 inches. So when this paper is supposed, I didn't cut on fold because I don't have extra pattern paper, but if you are placing this on your fabric, make sure you cut on fold. This part that I'm just rolling out, I'm just rolling it out so you can know that that is where we are going to attach the hose for the rope. So now your pattern, I mentioned that I have 5 yards of this chiffon fabric. You are going to fold the whole of the 5 yards into 4, and then you are going to spread it on the floor. If you have a table that is big enough, very good, but I don't have a table that this fabric will sit comfortably on, so I have to use the floor. So now for the length of this dress, the length that I worked with is 45, and then I did not have to join because this material is by 60. If you are using an Ankara fabric, you will definitely need to join the sides, but I didn't have to join. So what I'm doing now, from that end of the fabric, I'm marking my length of the dress. So what I did was that now I am going to mark this waist measurements. This waist, I'm going to take the waist measurement, and that is what I'll be using to form my curve. Can you see? I have about 8.5 inches. I'm just checking if it's accurate. Yes, it's accurate. You see this small curve that I did now? That is my waist circumference. So from this curve now, that is where I am going to now place my tape to mark the length of my flay. And this length of your flay now depends on how long you want your dress to flow. Do you want it to flow on the ground? Do you want it to be underneath? Do you want it to be very long like mine? The length depends on your choice. So I'm making use of length 45. Then I'm just going just like so. I'll just place the tape there at the beginning of like the waistline. Then I will just keep marking my length just like so. I'll mark it all the way around the whole of the fabric I have lying on the floor. This circle where I am taking the length from, just measure the length of your flay from the width of the material, and then make sure that the circle is up to your waist circumference and you are folding your material into 4. When you do that, you are going to get a perfect flay. I don't know if it's visible enough, but that's the flay. And then I've gone ahead to cut it out, and this is the waist. This is how the waist should look like. Then I also cut out pieces for the straps I will be tying on around my neck and my back. Then I've gone ahead to cut out lining pieces. The length of the lining I use for the flay is 20. And then for the bustier, I cut out 2 lining each. One will serve as an interface, like one I'm going to place the chiffon, because chiffons are usually transparent, and then I'm going to glue stay on both the lining pieces and then the one that I'll be placing the chiffon on top. So this is the back pattern of the flay. What I did was I measured 6 inches and I cut it into 2. Then I also did the same thing for the back, for the lining piece. So I'll be using the lining now to turn the chiffon fabric, and then also you go ahead to fold the edge of your lining piece, the one you'll be attaching to the flay. So now I'm just sewing the part where we'll be attaching the zipper. Just sew it and then don't turn the side. I'm only turning where I'm attaching the zipper. I'll be weaving it because of the nature of the fabric. It's a chiffon fabric, so we'll weave the sides. If you're working it with a chiffon fabric, it's better you just weave the sides. I am attaching the bar for the back. See what I'm doing? I'm just marking 1 inch in between. Then I will pin each of the lace bar. Just fold like 3-inch fabric, fold it properly, and then fold it should be as tiny as you want. Then mark 1 inch apart from each lace bar before you attach it, and then use your lining to turn it. For the upper parts, leave at least ½ inch. You want the lace bar in the neck part should be as high as possible, so it's going to sit well when you lace it. So I've gone ahead now to attach the back to the flay and attach the zip. Remember that we removed 2 inch when you fold it, on fold, so remove 2 inch. When you open it is 4 inch. So before you place each of the back, leave at least 2 inch after the zipper, 2 inch after the zipper, so it is going to be perfect. Remember, we removed 2 inch. And then now I've gone ahead to iron the lining piece on the parts of the lining that I will be placing my chiffon on. We are working on a chiffon fabric and it is very, very light. If you're working on Ankara fabric, you don't need this. So now I'm going to place the chiffon on it just like so before attaching my wadding. I'm using thick wadding as my breast pad. Then I'm going to go ahead to sew the rope. I have about 60 inches for the length of the rope, and then 3 inches for the width of the rope. So just like so, sew the edge of the rope first and then sew the sides. Now this is the thick wadding I'm using. Go ahead to cut the exact shape of the bustier you have, from the upper part to the under bust, please. And then for the side, cut two of the fronts, and then you divide one and then use it for the sides, both sides. You will be placing it ½ inch before the neckline. This is because you don't want it to be too thick when you turn it, so you place it ½ inch before the neckline. The wadding, the thick wadding, you place it ½ inch before the neckline. Then you go ahead to sew it around and then trim off the excesses. So I've gone ahead to sew it. I've also gone ahead to trim off the excesses. Now what I will be doing is I'll be marking ½ inch all the way from the top to the bottom of this bustier. If you cut your pattern very well, you don't need to do any other thing aside from just sewing this ½ inch in. The ½ inch allowance we added, go ahead to stitch it mark it for in your lining piece as well as your fabric, and then you will have a perfect bustier. So what I'm doing now is that I'll be using my tailor's hammer to iron it out properly. If you are working with a chiffon, please be careful, don't use iron that is very very hot. Then now I am placing the rope. I'll go ahead to pin the rope first inside the lining before I'll go ahead to turn the neckline, just like so. Just see what I'm doing. I'll place the rope at the exact point where I have that line on the bustier. Then I'm going to pin the lining to it, and then we'll be sewing only the neckline. We are not going to turn the sides, we are going to just match the side. We'll weave the sides. And then please, when you are sewing it, make sure that you do like a kind of curve. Eliminate the sharp edge, you don't need the sharp edge. And then to attach the flay to this bustier pattern, just look for the midpoint of your bustier, the front, and then look for the midpoint of your flay. Pin it down, sew from one midpoint to the other end, and sew from the other midpoint to the other end. This is because you want your flay to be sitting well. You don't want your flay to be tilting towards one side when you are done sewing. So it's better you sew from the middle. And then now the next thing we'll be doing is to actually close this dress, to shape this dress. And to do that, I'm just placing it on each other, making sure that the sides are aligning. One side is no longer than the other. Once I'm sure that the sides are aligning, I'm just going to go ahead to pin it. And then if you don't want to go through the process of measuring your dress and then taking out the allowance, you can as well just measure out your allowance. The allowance you added to this dress, just measure it out. Or you can go through the regular process of shaping, which is to divide your bust measurement into two, mark the point whatever you get there, and then whatever you get, you are going to divide it again into two. Mark one side to the right, and then to the other side you are going to give it to the left. Just watch what I'm doing. I'm going to divide it into two. Then you go ahead now to measure your waist measurement, divide it into two again, mark one side to the right and the other to the left. If you don't want to go through this process, simply just measure your allowance you added to this dress, measure it out, and then you will still have a perfect finish. Do you know why? Because this dress, you're actually lacing the back. Then this is the outcome of my dress. I hope you found this tutorial useful. Please don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel and turn on your notifications so you get notified when I upload my next video. If you found this video useful, leave a comment. Don't forget to like this video. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section. I will be more than willing to attend to it. Thank you for watching.